What's going on, and welcome back to part 2 of the Bowtie Bench build. In this video, I will be building the legs, the stretcher, and applying the finish to complete this killer set of benches. Because the legs for this bench are also going to be live edge, I need to make a simple jig to be able to make parallel cuts. And I did this by screwing an end plate to a piece of 2x10 that would allow me to use the straight edge of the 2x10s as the guide for the legs. Then I just screwed the slabs to the jig and cut all the legs to 15 inches. One of the slabs I wanted to use for one of the legs had a split in it, just like the top of the bench, and this required doing another bow tie inlay. This makes a total of 7 inlays for the 2 benches, but I think the time and effort spent is totally worth it. I'm curious, if you were doing these benches, would you have put the effort into the bow ties, or do you think that filling the voids with resin would have looked better? Let me know in the comments below how you would have done these benches, bow ties or resin fill. Now that the inlays are complete, I need to flush them up to the slabs, and the way I'm going to do that is by gluing some sacrificial pieces of wood to the slabs and running them through the planer. I never had CA glue in the shop before until I got my lathe and I started making pens. But now that I have CA glue, I find all kinds of uses for it, this being one of them. Once the slabs are planed, it's time to address some of the gaps from my fantastic chisel work and the insect holes. And the way I'm going to do that is by using some black CA. Now, I have never used this particular brand before, but I think I'm going to do a short video on my impressions and thoughts. So if you are curious about how this star bond performed, hit the subscribe button and be notified when I post that video later on.
You hold this. Take that off, pull that off, put that new one on.
After some light sanding on the legs and bench top, it was time to make the stretchers. And I just cut the slab down the middle, and then I'm going to cut the two pieces of length so that I can lay out the tenons that are going to pass through the legs. I'm laying out the tenons to be 2 inches, so they will protrude out the other side of the legs when it's all put together. Using the sled, I run an 1/8 inch shoulder all the way around the tenons. This shot reminds me of the loom scene in the movie Wanted, but this table saw is a bit more unforgiving. Now it's time to lay out the through mortise and to hog out the majority of the material. I am going to use a forster bit on the drill press that is just under the size of the layout lines. I don't know about you, but when I'm out in the shop, my shop helpers are usually not far away. Whether they're raiding the scrap bin to make their own creations, or helping in other ways, they're always around. This time, the oldest wanted to run the camera for me. After the mortise and tenons are all set, it's a quick dry fit before the final glue up. Now that both benches are all glued up, it's every woodworker's favorite time of the day, sanding. More sanding, and then there's gonna be some more sanding. All that work is worth it when you get to wipe on the first coat of finish and really see that grain and that color of that wood come alive. I had one casualty for this entire build, my Bosch sander that decided to smoke check itself mid-sand. I had to run to the store and pick up a new DeWalt just to finish what I was doing. For the finish on these benches, I did a total of 6 coats of poly, 2 wiped on and 4 sprayed, with a quick sanding in between. For my final sand and buff, I start with 400 grit and very lightly sand with the grain to knock off any dust particles. Then I move to the 3M fine buffing pad attached to my sander. With only the weight of the sander, I buff out the finish. This would be good enough if you wanted a flat finish, but I want a tiny bit more shine, so I move to the last buffing pad, a very fine, and just like the last grit, I attach it to the sander and I only use the weight of the sander to get the shine I want. Bottom of the feet, I like to use the stick-on felt, but if you do use this stuff, remember to grab a new razor blade to trim the felt, so you don't end up sawing it off like I did. But eventually I caught on and grabbed a fresh blade and things went a lot smoother after that. I love making these benches, and I wanted to mention that I just launched my new website, so go check that out and let me know down in the comments below what you think. The link for that will be in the description. So if you enjoyed what you saw, smash the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Know you've been a good friend, and that's in the thick and thin.